Are You Really Going to Eat That? Podcast episode 126. Hey there, I'm your host Wendy Hill, and I'm a naturopathic nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understand their bodies, allowing them to shine. I'm a huge foodie, and this podcast allows me to bring you an eclectic mixture of guests where food and health is our uniting passion. I always love hearing about the stories that sort of propel nutritionists into this world. And this week I have the lovely Nicole Burska, and she calls herself the Stress Nutritionist. What I love about Nicole is that, just like I think like how I view it as well, and that's why we connected so well, is that she realizes that it isn't just, nutrition isn't just about the food you eat. Nutrition is about everything that you bathe your body in, the people, the environment. And she's really keen on helping people find a way sort of through many different ways. So she does a lot of coaching and a lot of helping people understand how multi-level it needs to be. She shares lots of tips with us and lots of advice, and also some of her own story as well. So I really appreciate her sharing with us. So I'm not going to say any more. Let's just have a listen to the interview with Nicole.
Great.
So Nicole, welcome to the podcast. It's wonderful to have you here.
Great to be here.
Brilliant. And I didn't know, I was just chatting to Nicole before we came on air. She's never been on a podcast before. So that's really exciting as well. So I'm glad that you're our first, hopefully not the last. So Nicole, just give yourself a little bit of an intro. Let the listeners know who you are and kind of a bit of a sort of background.
Sure. So I have been sort of in the nutrition and natural health space for about 8 years now. I sort of got into it when I was working. I was studying to be a makeup artist actually at university, and I started working in a natural cosmetic shop called Nails Yard Remedies.
Yep.
And I just started learning about the importance of the ingredients in cosmetics and how that affects skin and how nutrition affects skin, and it really opened up a whole new world. So after I finished graduation, I decided to save up and pursue a diploma in nutrition. So that's where I went off to study at Institute of Optimum Nutrition. And since then I've qualified as a nutritional therapist, and I'm going full-time. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's excellent. And you call yourself the Stress Nutritionist, which I love. I think that's a great title, and kind of we all get that, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, so I've always been into health in general. So whether it be aromatherapy or herbal medicine, and nutrition is my main domain, but I kind of like to incorporate many aspects of it, of other traditional remedies, whether it be sort of mainstream or not. But I love to, one thing that has always come to mind is really the importance of stress, and how, you could be doing everything right in the world. You could be taking all the supplements, eating the right foods, and exercising the best exercise regime. But if the stress levels are high, then, your health is really affected detrimentally to the point where it sometimes doesn't even matter how hard you try. It really does affect the body in such a huge manner, and stress management is one of the crucial things that I like to work with, especially because it affects your relationship with food. So yeah, a lot of what I do is kind of looking into that area of life the most, because when you really deal with the mental side of health, then the rest kind of follows through.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't agree more. And I say this to clients all the time, you can give them the perfect meal plan, but if they're not, if they're not assimilating it properly, if they're not digesting it, if they're eating it stressed at their desk, they're just not going to get the best from it. And it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? When you're with clients, do you find this, that they they kind of don't get it. They're like, well, I'm doing everything that you told me to do. I'm doing everything right. And then you're like, but actually, we know you can't you can't leave your job or whatever, but we know as nutritionists, it's down to the stress. How do you help clients when they come in and you can see that that's the missing key, that's the link?
Well, I think it's really trying to educate them in the consultation, and that will play a huge part into how they treat themselves. And instead of doing something that is maybe draining their energy, they start looking into more looking after themselves and realizing that there are other aspects in life that actually can give them more energy instead of drain. I mean, when you see a nutritionist, that's always going to help the diet, because you have someone supporting you to eat well. And at least for that first 1 to 2 weeks after a consultation, the client is always super energized and motivated. I mean, come after 2 weeks, they start losing that motivation and they go back to their unhealthy habits. But then at least they definitely have that impact of, they do feel better, they do feel healthier, and they can start to have a look at why their motivation is dropping. And it's all very subconscious, I think, in the sense that people like to default to bad habits.
Could you just give they love their tips, my listeners love their tips, so sort of 3 coping mechanisms if they feel like this is affecting their health, sort of 3 top tips to give them some coping mechanisms
with stress?
Yeah, with stress, with diet, kind of that health aspect. Top 3 things you talk to your clients about most.
Okay, so top 1 is definitely social support. That would be my number 1. In fact, try and really establish a good connection with your family and friends, and just get back into those good feelings of social support. That's my number 1. My number 2 would definitely be rest more, whether that be, and there's different types of physical rest. It could be from just lying in bed, reading a book, being on your phone, or sleeping, or watching a movie. And then my number 3 would definitely be sports. Find a sport that you love, or not necessarily sport, but movement, because it could be something like Tai Chi or yoga or Qigong, or rock climbing. Or maybe it is the gym. Maybe you enjoy lifting weights, and maybe that is a way of blowing off steam, or boxing or something like that. So yeah, I think that's my 3 top tips.
They're great tips, thank you. I think everyone can do those as well, so that's really useful. So thank you so much for that. So tell us, where can I'm going to put all the links in the show notes to your website and stuff, but where do you hang around most? Where if they want to connect with you, where can they find you most?
Yeah, sure. I am usually quite active on Instagram. Having a few account issues at the moment, but I do have a back. Yes, it's one of the not so great things that I was mentioning to you about, but no worries, I do have a backup account. So it's stress.nutritionist for now. Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Great, we'll put all those links in there. And what a nightmare. The thing is with social media, isn't it? It's great when it works, and when it doesn't, it's an absolute pain, isn't it? I get it. And they tell us all, you must have a backup and don't rely on it, but it works. And so you do, don't you? You really do. So but no, that's great. Thank you so much for today. And you very kindly offered a 10% discount to anyone who's listened to the podcast. So I'll just put a note that obviously if you do contact Nicole, just mention the podcast, and you might get a nice discount from her. So that's it for this week, Nicole. I just want to ask you one final question, my always last question, which is, what have you got for tea today?
For tea?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I usually have tea every single day, but today I seem to have skipped that ritual.
What about your evening meal? So tea is a bit of an homage to my husband, who is a northerner, and so he calls his evening meal tea. So what have you got for your kind of evening? Yeah, exactly. So what is your last meal of the day? So it's not dinner in our house, it's tea.
Oh, okay. Well, I will probably I'm very spontaneous with my meals, if I'm going to be honest, but it'll probably be a mix of um, buckwheat, lentils, and some veggies, most likely.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So are you vegan or
I I like to say I'm mostly plant-based,
yeah.
but for example, if I'm in a sushi restaurant, I might have some salmon here and there. So I really don't like to be strict in my diet. I eat more if I feel like it, I'll have it. If I don't, then I won't. Then so yeah, just
Best way to be, but that
yeah,
sounds delicious. That's lovely.
flexible.
Thank you so much today. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you for this. It's been a pleasure.